All right. All right. Hey, what's going on, YouTube? This is going to be a lunchtime, get it in when I can type of video. So we'll see if anybody drops in and checks in with us. Let me check all my settings here because I want to mess it up. But I hope everybody's doing good in the madness of the minute and the art or life imitating art on the daily now. Like every day, it's like, wow, it's like we've heard this story before in fiction, right? Oh, about ready to drive me crazy with some of the daggum madness that's going on out there. And I'm just glad I am where I am, because it's good I'm not near any of these fools, because I'd be in jail or in the buried under the graveyard. I don't know which. So I'm gonna try to get my lunch in here as I do this rant, because it's definitely a rant. Might want to watch your ears here later on. I don't know. I can't make any promises as this will be PG. But now we got people checking in here. What we got going on? Drone Worship, what's going on? M Long's here. Hey, how you doing? Almost 3,000 subs. Is that right? I thought it was at 2,600 or something. But anyway, yeah, cool. We lose as many subs as we gain, it seems like, most days. All good. Stan Ulch, what's going on? You thought it was phase 2? Yeah, day 1 or day 2. And what I'm talking about is everybody, turn that down. Did everybody read, or if you haven't read, the book 299 Days, the book series actually, that was written several years ago. I think it came out in 13 or 14. But it was based in the Pacific Northwest, and really good book, really good for mindset and just possibilities that could roll out and all this other stuff. It was really good, well done, and really good book about the impending collapse, right? And it was set in the Pacific Northwest, and it's like so on point with what's going on in Seattle right now. It's like, wow, he saw that coming a mile away. Like we talk about, why you want to get out of the city, like incrementalism. Antifa takes over City Hall and like a whole 7 square block area or something like that, takes over, rule, police back out and leave, like things you never would have imagined would just happen. And it just seems like it's being allowed to happen in so many respects. But that book series, if you haven't read 299 Days, it's going to be nonfiction here real soon, but it is a good fictional account, and just things to think about of what could end up happening in different areas in your area with your people, interactions, all kinds of different situations come up in that series that make you think about, well, what would I do in this situation, or how would I be able to handle this, or et cetera, et cetera. But what's playing out in Seattle is like right on point with what the book was talking about long before there was an Antifa. But at the same time, there's always been the left-wing crazies and communists in that area that you could see plotting and coming at you on the daily basis up there. I mean, last time I was in Seattle was 2000 maybe, and it was I can't imagine how much worse it got. Like, it's crazy. And people just losing their minds in general. The left is really pushing hard on obliterating any semblance of history, without a doubt. It doesn't matter if it fits their narrative or not. It's being destroyed, defaced, removed. Some idiot protesters defaced the 54th Massachusetts Regiment's statue that's in Boston or up there somewhere, and that's the Black Regiment from the Civil War that was so highly decorated. It's like they're just defacing all of history And that's the whole point of communism. They have to destroy history so they can rewrite it. And that's the same thing that's happening in the South. All these Confederate memorials, and all these people are buying into it with all their virtue signaling, the renaming of this big push to rename all the different army forts and bases that they're trying to get, all the different forts and bases they're trying to get renamed, right? It's like they're just trying to replace the history so that you'll forget, like these things were named this way because these were great people. But they don't want to mention that. Like, everybody has their problems, but the communists only point out your faults because they don't believe in faults. They believe that they are faulty completely, but they don't follow an honor or moral code, but they want to point out your errors in your moral code to get you to back down and acquiesce. And that's where all this white guilt comes from, is they've convinced these people that they're in error, and they just push that button to get them to acquiesce to all their demands. Because if you are with fault of your own code, then you don't deserve to, do anything, be in charge, have freedom. All these things that they're going to take away from people, is what's going on. And people don't see it. People bowing at people's feet and just madness. And I don't see how people are falling for it. But by the thousands, by the droves, people just lining up to be subjugated, and half the crowd's being used as useful idiots, and they're just going to get taken out in the long run anyway. If you know how the communist program works, just like Mao starved out the farmers eventually, and Stalin starved his farmers, so will be the case of these people. They'll be used until they're no longer useful. Then they'll find somebody else to push their agenda. Yeah, the madness that's going on social media, and the agenda that's being pushed, and it's like an overwhelming tidal wave. Like, there's so little resistance, and the president and the people like that can't even stand up for anything because they have no grounds to stand up for anything, because they have no, I don't know, cojones is probably a bad word, fortitude. They don't even want to stand up for the right thing. They just want the power and control, notoriety. And all this time, all this is happening, half of me's thinking that this is all just covering up for the economic collapse. It continues to devolve and occur on a daily basis. This is all just a big distraction from that. It goes from one thing to another. We've always talked about things seem to be speeding up, and daily events seem to be speeding up and taking over. And yeah, I guess what? There's economic collapse and a replacement of the world reserve currency occurring, and nobody cares. That's the single biggest event that can occur, short of nuclear war, in our lifetime, probably, or a mass cataclysmic natural event. So it's like in third place, right? The economic situation replacing the world reserve currency, and the transfer of wealth, and all these things that can be going on, and people are asleep at the wheel, worried about all these little issues, when really, if you would have just dealt with fake money and bad government and eliminating these governments years ago, you wouldn't have all these problems. All the economic inequalities caused by the central bank. But no, it's only a white people problem. It's only this and that. The government needs to do more of this and that, when the government can only create more problems. But this intervention, because it has to beg the central bank for all the debt it has to put out to help solve these supposed quote unquote problems, right? It's insanity, and people are just way too narrow-minded, way too narrow-focused on their little pet issue to look at the broader scope of what the real problem is. People I don't know how deep it is in all of social media, but on Twitter now today, everybody's off on attacking Cracker Barrel like they're the big social problem now that needs to be solved, and Cracker Barrel's a racist place that nobody should go to because it makes them feel like they're in a slave owner's house or something like that. It just makes you laugh. It's like, you people just need to not go in there if you feel uncomfortable. I mean, every one of us probably has been in a Mexican restaurant where they practically only speak Spanish, right? And it's kind of unusual. You got to figure out, make sure they understand what you're ordering and stuff. But it's good food, and you go there for good food, and the people are good people. And you want to complain about Cracker Barrel, that, again, it's good food, and just leave it alone. But they can't leave well enough alone because it goes against their narrative. Because, again, erasing history. You can't have that old Southern culture is probably the only thing remaining of the pre-industrial era of America. And that's been carried on throughout Southern culture, and they can't stand it. And it's all these Yankees, and I'd say that in the broadest term of pretty much anybody that's from an urban city is basically a Yankee nowadays. Wanting to destroy all these rural traditions and culture just to suit their perception that it's all racist, just because it's fried bacon and you eat meat and stuff, all these inhumane things that go on now. It's like they intersect all these different lines to make you bad, right? And they want you to feel guilty for it, for something because their feelings are hurt. I don't feel good when I go to Cracker Barrel. We should shut it down. Why don't you shut your mouth, like some guy said on Twitter? Shut up and go have a jelly biscuit. Or cornbread, your choice. That's the good thing about Cracker Barrel. You get your choice. You can have your biscuit with jelly and butter, or you can have your cornbread with butter. Hey, whatever you want. Unfortunately, that's not acceptable. There can be there is no cohabitating with these people, and they're going to keep pushing until they're going to get their wish, and we're going to have mass conflagration. But like that book, 299 Days, stay in your remote areas, stay in your as rural as you can get areas to ride this out and figure out how to piece stuff together after the fact, I guess. Because this cannot continue like this and go well. It's going way too fast, coupled with the economic situation. I mean, does anybody see a light at the end of the tunnel? Is that light at the end of the tunnel anything other than a freight train? I don't think so. That's what it seems like it's coming to me. So, I don't know. I guess I've ranted long enough. Now, one other thing I haven't talked about on here in a while, and I've warned about for years, is the real thing to be concerned about is the federalization of local police and law enforcement. And that's what's coming. And that's what they're asking for. You see these efforts to defund police, quote unquote. That's not what they want. They want overall control from central government. Yeah, they can play like, it's a left versus right thing, but really it's DC control of it all thing. That's what they're going after. They already fund it all, and they already push all the training on these people. That's why the cops are all so similar throughout the country, because they're all centrally controlled by money from DC, but they want direct control through the DOJ, through implementation, and the personnel, being nationalized police force. That's what they want, and that's what they're trying to roll out with this supposed defunding of police, is just to roll out the deeper police state from the national level, eliminating local control, eliminating local decision making, and really just destroying all that's left of any type of local control over your situation. To where the police don't even answer to you locally, they answer nationally, which is very bad. Just ask the East Germans about the Stasi. All the other historical examples of that going down in a quick ball of fire. Makes you shake your head and just, what do I need to do to keep up? What do I need to do to not get outmaneuvered by this whole thing? And I'm not sure how to do that. But I got a rant about it at least. All right, so I got a lot of people checking in. I talked to Stan last. They got Rooster Cogburn in here. Brastard 762, what's up? Communist revolution in full swing, right? And and that's right. They used our own morals against us, Brastard. That's the big thing. And the ultimate of that is our desire to not have bloodshed is greater than our desire to live free, it seems like. And that's been going on for years, right? When it comes to many different things. And people's desire to be peaceful, I don't know. What's it going to take before that's outweighed by the desire to be free, the desire to be left alone? Those have got to come in balance at some point. Right now, people still want to be peaceful. But that's going to be changing pretty quick. Things keep going, right? 88 Mark, what's up? Yeah, demonstrations are still happening. Yeah. I don't know if I'd say the looting mostly stopped. The looting did, but the destruction hasn't. Now they're attacking just monuments and statues all over the country now. So now that's the thing, is defacing history. And I kind of talked about that earlier on in the chat here a few minutes ago. Now it's the attack on history and the destruction of it so they can replace it. That seems to be on the agenda, because again, it's like multiple different locations. It ain't like it just happened in one place, Let me go down here, see. Poison Stinger checked in. What's up, Poison? Stan says they've already heard they're drafting a declaration and a constitution. Are you talking about the Antifa types in Seattle? Would not surprise me in the slightest. I know that they just pretty much declared it a zone, government, their zone of capitalist free zone or something like that. A lot of talk about that Seattle situation. I just haven't seen much video on it. I clicked on the Seattle news, and they kind of made it seem like it ended yesterday, but I don't know if it's still going on today or not. Advisable, Poison, right? I don't know if we can get control of this republic or not, Stan. I've kind of always been of the mind that there is no saving it. We're going to have to divide up. It's just a matter of how it happens. But, I don't know. Letting the communists burn down the country first is not what I had in mind, or is not the preferable route. But it might be what it takes. Plane. Right, Rister? You got to destroy people's history so they don't know who they are. They want to talk about slavery, and that's what happens to slaves. They don't get to, they're always, don't let them speak their own language. They don't let them converse, because you want to destroy that link with their past. That's been historical to what happened to slaves in particular. But yet they're using that same tactic on everybody else right now, thinking it's justified in the name of racism. But yeah, that's definitely the thing. You want to destroy people, destroy their history. And white people, quote, end quote, and here's a good one. What is white people? Well, there's no such thing as white people. It's just a term people made up to group all these people together so they could be attacked now, right? Now they're attacking us, I guess I say, because they consider us all white. And one thing I've kind of played around with the last couple of years is I always look at people, I'm like, I'm not white. What are you talking about? And really, we never should have accepted that term, but, whatever. Here we are. So I got in a brief discussion, very brief, because I tuned it out and just didn't reply or check back in on the comments. Somebody was trying to make the argument there's no white people in the Bible. It's like, not that really matters. It doesn't matter who's in the Bible. It's about the story and about, Jesus and everything. But to just say that outright like it's historically accurate is just wrong, yeah, the comment that there were no white people in the Bible, I'm like, wait, the Greeks and Romans are white. Are they not? I mean, if somebody from Greece or from Italy comes here and they try to apply for a government job or government loan or go to a government school or any other situation and they have to check a box, what are they going to check? white non-Hispanic, right? They're not Hispanic. They're not into the other categories on there. So by the government's definition, Greeks and Romans are white. Even at that time, before, you know, before Jesus in the Old Testament, the Greeks and Romans were even more white than they are now. Granted, and here's what I think everybody's really getting at: they weren't Germanic. They're not part of the Germanic tribes, but they are. I mean, if you were to see them walking around, like there's a white guy, you know. So I don't know what the angle was. I think they're trying to guilt trip Christians into making them. They try to frame Christians as racist because of the old pictures, you know, a century ago, essentially, of Jesus having blonde hair and blue eyes, or really light hair and blue eyes and stuff that disappeared years ago, right? I remember that coming out when I was a kid. There was some of those pictures up, and people replaced them because they realized it wasn't historically accurate and it wasn't proper. Not that you can really draw a picture of Jesus, and most of them weren't accurate anyway, but it's just the representation. But a lot of people took them down too because of false idol doctrine, you know, like that's probably a false idol because you don't know what Jesus looked like. Really, none of us do. And he didn't probably look anything like that. But anyway, because they're trying to guilt trip these Christians into some racial issues by saying nobody white was in the Bible, which doesn't make any sense. And just it makes me shake my head some more. Like, why are you trying to be so divisive? And these are, and by the way, these are obviously non-Christians pushing this, right? These people that don't believe in the Bible, they don't believe in any doctrine or any principles on that case. So they're trying to use your own morals against you, classic communist tactic, to make you feel guilty for whatever and make you feel like you can't or should acquiesce to their demands or whatever. But I found that humorous that somebody would just make the broad statement that there's no white people in the Bible. Like, have you read, you know, Paul made a journey to Rome. The Roman guards, Pontius Pilate was Roman. I mean, it just makes your head hurt thinking people get away with these statements without any context, without any rebuttal, with very little pushback, and just to build up their own cause, you know, on a false narrative, you know. Makes you mad, makes you very mad. We got some other people checking in here. Poison says Jews are considered white, right, by the government, right? Yeah, that's true. They don't have a place to check either, right? 10 thumbs down, is that? Oh, sweet. Hey, we're rolling in it now, Poison. We must have hit a nerve. I don't know if it was the Antifa statement or what. Wow, that's kind of weird. Drive-bys. That's got to be the drive-bys, because I know most of the regular crowd is tracking on most of this. Hey, what's up, Farkas? How you doing, buddy? Hey, I saw your last video you wouldn't allow comments on, but that's good work, man. Stick to it. Stick to your guns. Keep your slimming that profile up, right? Building those guns up. Nice stuff. They just want to see the world burn. Well, and they think they will be masters of that world, for sure, Poison. Saints and Sappers checking in. Prepare to defend, right? Building a good defensive fortification. The thing is, we've been on the defense for so long, it's all so tiring, like Rooster says there. It's been our programming and our own plan, I guess you would say, to defend first, right? To defend, from our locations. I don't know how much longer we can stay on the defense, without totally losing it. Obviously, those that are most exposed, most out in the open in the cities and stuff, are going to have to switch from the defense sooner than the rest of most of us, at least. Most of us that are more rural, especially. But dadgum, how can you take these hits continuously without starting to fight back? And that's going to be the really bad thing, is the blowback from all this. Who's going to take advantage of it and try to manipulate it for their own cause, right? Is it going to be the extreme right fascist wing, like we would only assume? They're usually the ones that are able to coalesce that type of anger. which seems to be the angle the president's taken. The very fascist, nationalized police approach seems to be his angle that he wants to take. I just don't know if there's enough local resistance to do a decentralized response to where it's local and maintained at the local level where it needs to happen, you know? Poison, you're at least 10 months from the virus to getting out, or 10 months away getting out of the city, but the virus should be winding down by November 10th. I don't know about that. I mean, the whole second wave part of the whole virus thing, like, okay, yeah, there probably will be a second wave. There is nothing to justify shutting down businesses. Businesses can function fine. You give them the appropriate information of, keeping people distant from each other, doing the things to prevent any transmission, and America will be fine. This whole dominating from the top that everything will be shut down totally and there is no decision making from the populace that's just basic, totalitarianism, right? Totalitarian communism. Stan says Trump should take out that Seattle compound. Well, Stan, that's an interesting take. I mean, it's not a federal building. It's not a federal area. You ask like what play out like Malheur did. It shouldn't. It's completely a city-state issue. There's no reason for the feds to be involved, but I have seen many people touting that Trump should respond, and that's what I'm talking about, the totalitarian police state response that Trump kind of leans towards is like in that instance. There should be zero involvement. I guess you could say unless asked, there comes a me. Dang it. But I'm all for less federal involvement if we can get away with it. But that's the thing about it. That's the reaction. You have all this low-level communist agitators and people want this big centralized police state response. What happens? The police state grows. The economic collapse continues. We're going to be probably $30 trillion in debt at the end of the next presidential cycle 4 years from now. Like, things are bad. HDB and Biden can't remember what day it is. Hey, what's up, Fuzz? Did I not remember what day it was? Today's Wednesday, right? I couldn't remember what day the Antifas took over in Seattle. Good to see you, Fuzz. Oh, you're talking about the title of the video, probably day 1 or day 2. I got you, Fuzz. I got you. Yeah, I don't know which day it is, but that's in reference to, again, to that book series, 299 Days. Like, we're in the first stages of what that book exactly talked about. It was like he was right on point at Pacific Northwest and been in the Seattle area and went down. It's very on point and definitely worth reading as far as a Parepper collapsitarian approach goes. Just to get your brain thinking. But hey, what's up, Fuzz? Good to see you. Right, Saints, high capacity. Yeah, the Drum magazine looks a little bit lacking at some point, right? At that point, you're looking at, hey, where's my belt fed, right? Where's my crew served weapons? But again, that's why we removed ourselves from the city. We don't want to be involved in that mess to begin with. And the whole Antifa statement that we're going to take the fight out to the countryside so they feel the pain. For those of us that got out of the city for that exact same reason, because we knew these things were coming, right? Or they are coming. And removed ourselves from them, not wanting to participate, not wanting to be involved, wanting to take the peaceful path. But they don't want you to be able to take the peaceful path. They want to force your hand. That's they're playing their cards right there, you know. You give people no chance to be peaceful, you're going to get the sharp end of the stick, you know what I'm saying? How's that saying go? Just because I am peaceful doesn't mean I'm helpless or harmless. You're only helpless and harmless if you're not armed. Right, Fuzz? Well, you know, it's funny. I got several people I know that live outside the Seattle area, either in Eastern or in the mountains or whatever. And they're all like, they don't let it burn. You know, the people of Washington State have had enough of Seattle too, because Seattle's tried to control their lives far too much. Let it burn down. Hey, Jay Sparks, what's up? How you doing up there? Are you still in this AO, or are you, I don't know, where you at, Jay Sparks? I haven't checked in on your, seen what you're doing or anything. I know I commented on, you had a comment on another video somewhere. I said, what's up? Uh-oh, War Drums has made an appearance. Snap. Right? Yep, it's on. Right? The temper tantrum throwers stand. Seems like you got a lot of that going around now, right? They have to get their way. But really, just you couldn't predict a more grand convergence, I guess you could say. Just the convergence of all the different factors coming to a head, and everybody's ignoring the big one of the economic collapse. Unless you're watching CNBC, you don't know anything about the Federal Reserve's interest rates and everything else, you know. The madness of zero interest rates and the piling up of debt, all these government bailouts that are going out to corporations and stuff that is 10 times worse than 08, but they're just covering it all up with more debt, and the money is going to have to come to a head at some point and cause hyperinflation. There's no way this can continue, and that leads to several implications for the collapse of the world reserve currency and all those other issues that come with that. So, but nobody wants to talk about that. Everybody wants to focus on what somebody's great grandfather did, and the people that live now have nothing to do with it. You know, that's what everybody, half the country's focused on that. The other half's focused on the communist, you know, urban riots and stuff, which you want to put an end to, but it'll wear itself out, I guess, when it's ready. Poison not so compared when it comes to metal. Brass will go a long way. Okay, Sparks, I didn't know you had Oscar mic'd. Okay. Yeah, for sure, man. You know, do what you got to do. Whatever you can take advantage of. I mean, once you got, you know, you had to move out of your original place, you know, it's kind of one of those situations. If you had a perfect storm and could go anywhere, why not, right? Go where you think is best. You know, I am where I am based upon circumstance. It's not the greatest, but it's definitely not the worst. Me and War Drums have had this conversation several times about the area and the exposure level and the threat level. It's not perfect, but it's not terrible, you know. It's something you can mitigate with a little bit of elbow grease and some teamwork. You're hungry for chicken fried steak, right, Farkas? Yeah, the whole Cracker Barrel thing got me all fired up earlier. People just need to leave well enough alone sometimes. Like, they're just making stuff up just because they have feelings about something that doesn't mean anything. They've never, whatever, you know, it just, the whole generation about my feelings matter more than reality, you know? Primers are hard to get, Fuzz. Primers and powder, yeah, I can see that. I actually went to the Sportsman's here, and that place was about cleaned out of just about everything. everything from bullet to brass to primer. It was cleaned out of the shelves. I was looking to maybe pick up some extra bullets, but those were not what I want. I mean, they had a couple boxes of stuff that I didn't want, like the high-end match stuff, which I didn't really want to deal with. But everything else, I mean, a lot of stuff was cleared out of the common calibers for reloading. There was no primers, I don't think. Maybe some oddball off-the-wall primer of some sort, but not like your standard. It's very much, I think, at this point, it looks like it's worse than 09, you know? From what everything I've seen is in the primer, in the reloading categories, like, things are missing much greater. The powder doesn't seem to be as short, but it's getting very rare as well. But I mean, there was a time there, well, there was that cycle after 09, and it was like 2013 where you couldn't get any powder unless you there on delivery day and they had one can of each or something like that. It was very rare, and I think we're getting back to that type of level from what I've seen this weekend looking around. That's very bad news. If you haven't already stocked up, you know, it's not the time to be trying to hoard, that's for sure. Hopefully you got enough to last you for a while, and just maybe if you're looking to restock a little, that's okay, but don't plan on hoarding anything, you know, or really stocking up. Hoarding's a bad word. Don't really get really excuse me. Don't look at really stocking up for the long haul in that reloading category, I don't think. Yeah, Fuzz, didn't you hear there's multiple shootings in Chicago every week? They have no problem with shootings in Chicago. The UN will resupply us, says Saints. I don't know what calibers they carry, Saints. I guess we can resupply with the full complement, right? Hopefully they bring some crew serve weapons too. And there's that. The left continues to float that out there of wanting the UN to come in and oversee police operations, which, you know, when do the gloves come off, you know? Like we're saying, what's really the push the button, draw the line? Is that not push the button, draw the line time then? I mean, it will not, this cannot stand. And if it occurs, there's no political solution to that. If it occurs, the political solution is already too late, right? So then you got to go to the boxes of freedom, as they say. So thanks everybody for checking in. I think we need to wrap up this and get back to the grind. But thanks for checking in. Just thought I'd put some thoughts out there. If you haven't seen the Cracker Barrel situation, it's probably best for you. But continue to follow the Seattle story and that region and other big cities too, I guess, because they're going to want to come out here eventually. They've said they want to do it. To make the country folk feel the pain, as they've stated. I guess we'll have to continue to monitor and just hopefully not be overrun in our position, right? That wind is not going to cooperate here at the end. Another plane. So y'all be good. Thanks for checking in. Keep your head on the swivel, stay frosty, prep hard, live free.